Hello and welcome back. Today's video I'm just going to share with you the latest painting that I'm doing, and it's another one of Uppermill. It's just by the canal near Moorgate, I believe it's called, and I'll just take you through some of the things that I'm doing with that. Okay, as you can see, there's a few figures down here. The thing I like about this scene, there's quite a lot of contrast. So it's a very sunny day. You can see the quite large cast shadows in the foreground, and these figures are in the direct sunlight. So there's a bit of a silhouette on the claw, the near side, and on the back, sort of the upper side of the figures are going to be a really nice highlight. So I've left the paper for that to indicate that, but I may go in at the end and just add some white gouache just on the top side of each figure. Just gives that extra pop and the extra highlight. So that's what I'm going to do. There's still a little bit of rendering work on the buildings here, so they're quite dark in the scene. So there's really a lot of contrast going on. I was doing some painting last night, and I think the danger sometimes is if you're quite tired, you can start rushing and sort of wanting things done a bit quicker than what you would do. As you can see, there's a bit of detail here where I've been doing the rendering work, and last night, as I was tired, I started almost getting that done a bit quicker. So I stopped painting last night just so that I wouldn't rush and spoil the effect, because as you can see, if I'd have carried on just doing the sort of a loose, just filling in the paper, getting the texture roughly, I would have lost. You can see the detail on the chimney, as opposed to the buildings here. That would have it wouldn't have worked very well. So I put down my brushes and packed up for last night and called it a day. But there's still a few things to do yet in this painting. I've got a couple of ducks here in the canal. You can see I've left white shapes for that, so I'll do that. I'm going to add some more to the buildings. Not sure whether I've finished with the trees yet. Maybe I can add a bit more green tones in there, and maybe, I'm not sure, maybe add some more colour to the figures, and certainly add a bit more green and deepen this foliage on this side. Okay, let's get on with it. Just mixing some colours. Gonna mix some more colours for the buildings. So that's the dark brick. Okay. So the overall buildings are quite dark, so I just need to make sure I get those in quite dark. And obviously when you add these darks, it adds overall value to the scene. So the lights will really have a sharp contrast against the darks. It just makes the highlights and the lights really stand out, and that's one of the things that I like about this scene. It was a really sunny day, and so there was a lot of light in that scene, cast against the leaves, the foliage, things like that, which were quite dark, just in front of the sun. Just add in the brickwork. I'm trying to get that as real, but maybe in a loose style. It doesn't matter, just to give. I think there's quite a lot of detail in the overall scene, the trees, things like that. So I don't think it matters too much if I don't get as much texture in the buildings. I think as long as I get the tonal value right, then that'll do. As you can see, as I'm adding this, it's giving a darker feel to the buildings, and that's what I want. These houses just to be that touch darker. Just mindful that you can see the bricks in the reference. So I'm not sure yet whether I want to get each brick on the scene or whether I want to loosen that up a bit. I don't think it matters too much in this overall composition. I don't think it's going to take away anything if I don't paint in every single brick. I think with all the detail in all the other places, I think I could get away with that. So I'm not going to worry too much. I'm not going to labour over that if I don't need to. But I'll get more of an idea for that as I go on. If it does need that, then I'm prepared to do that. I think overall it's quite a simple scene. You may see it and think it's not, but there's not really much to it. As long as you've got the perspective in this scene, as long as you've got the perspective right, the buildings go in the right angles, the angles, as long as they're right, there's not really much to it, I don't think. Tell me what you think. Maybe you could give this one a go. I don't think it's too difficult. There's not really much to it. Again, I just think of shapes. So if you look at this scene and break it down, there's two sort of big shapes here. Obviously got the chimneys, and then you just got these trees and shapes. They're just shapes. You just get a dark sort of green and go in with these. You got the liner brush just to get the lines. A couple of lines in there, some branches. Again, the same here, just with a liner brush. And that's it. And then you got the figures. I just drew the outline for the figures. Again, not really paying much detail. Just get the overall shapes, and then just paint them in. You can see they're quite dark. You got the shadow as they're in the light. So the side that's closest is quite a dark. So I'm not sure whether I've finished them yet, whether I touch up with a bit more colour, a bit more contrast, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so I just want to concentrate really on getting more of this render. The buildings done. There we go, you got some of this popping through the weeds or whatever they are here, the plants. You got some building coming through there. Okay. I got some of this permanent sap green and darken that up with some neutral tint, a tiny bit of blue. I think it must be French ultramarine, and just to darken and deepen up the base of these. I think they are weeds, just to give it that depth. Got plenty of paint, as opposed to water. We want to get the dark tones in now. As you can see, you put the darker tones in and it just gives that three-dimensional sort of look. I think the key is to get, you got your first wash, you can have the in this bits of shrubbery and greenery, you got like a nice yellowy sort of warm green, and then obviously there's, I see 3 tones, so then there's a sort of a deeper green, and then you got the darkest sort of green. So once you get these 3 layers, and there's no rush doing this, you just take your time, get the first, you look at your composition, or you know, it applies to anything, whether it's a building, you look at the building and think, well, which is the lightest colour? Which colour do you see first? So then you apply that colour, and then you've got the mid-tones. So then you get that colour. So that's your second mix of colour, and then I think last of all, if you got the darker tones, and that's when you start seeing things come into life. Things really start to come into their own once you get those darker shades in. Things start looking a bit more realistic. Things start looking a bit more three-dimensional, as you can see. That's all I'm doing. I'm just adding these deeper greens. Obviously, leaving some of those lights to. You can see they're reflecting the light. You're just getting an overall impression of that sun sort of glimmering over this green, and that's all you want, is just an impression. There we go. It's a nice rich green. I like this colour. And some people, I think I might have mentioned it in a previous video, some people don't tend to use, I know I've seen some artists talking about sap green that they don't like using it because it's not almost a true sort of natural green. But I find it quite the opposite. I find sap green to be more close than any other greens. I know a lot of people do use hooker's green. I've not got any hooker's green yet. I do intend on getting some, but I do like to use sap green and just maybe add a blue. You can add a yellow, neutral tint to darken it, and you just use it as your base of a green, and I think it works quite well. I have no problem in using sap green for my green, so that's the more popular one that I use. I could just mix it straight from yellows and blues. Okay, I think I've finished this piece. As you can see, I've added the highlights. I did reserve some of the whites anyway. The paper was quite white there, but I just went in and added the gouache just to the figures, the tops of the heads, top of the shoulders, just where the light is hitting. And now it's time for, this is my favourite part, is just taking that masking tape off. There we go, it just gives it that nice just clean white border, and then you could go one step further. This is a mount that I cut off myself. As you can see, it don't really fit right, but it's just to give me an idea. It's just not working out, this, is it? It's fallen. There we go. Right. So the mount, let's go at the top. There we go. I'm trying to do this one, and it just gives me this is quite a bit smaller than the last piece, but anyway, it just gives you a little idea of what it'll look like framed. As you can see, it don't really fit, but it just gives you a nice feel for what it would look like finished and framed. Okay, I hope you liked that video. I've just gone in and shown you a few of the things that I've done, and I'll catch up with you on the next video. Thanks for watching.